Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a red day in the market. I mean, it was just tumbling. And of course, I'm just kidding. It went down like 0.1% or whatever it was. So, finally broke the 8-day winning streak. I finally got slight red there. And it kept just bouncing back in these V-shaped recoveries all day. But today, and we'll get into the charts in a minute. But there is one thing that is happening tomorrow that is not on the economic calendars. You need to be very aware of. We're going to talk about that, because you could see some absolute movement in the market based on this. And we'll start off with this by saying we're starting to get retail earnings in. Of course, Lowe's, guess what? Crap the bed. Saying the same thing that Home Depot says, no shock. But here's the big thing to watch out for, and I'm going to zoom in on this so you can actually see this. Tomorrow, what's going to happen is they're going to be revising the numbers, okay, for the first quarter. And what's crazy is Goldman Sachs and Wells Fargo, like they got some revisions up here. They're saying, oh, it could be 600,000, 500,000. JP Morgan says it could be 306,000, revised down, by the way, not up. And so obviously, if we get a huge revision downwards, then the market might not be very happy about that, because we got Jackson Hole coming up, and you got Jerome Powell speaking and stuff. And so if they see a big revision downward and the job market is even worse than what they actually said it was, well, then the Fed may have to step in. If they have to step in and do an emergency cut, then of course that's going to create a mess or whatever. And is there going to be a big revision? That's what we got to find out. Okay, again, I don't really care what these guys are projecting. I'm just letting you know what's going to happen. And the big reason is because what do you keep hearing about? What got everybody all upset was when the unemployment rate jumped, right? And all of a sudden, unemployment claims are coming in higher than expected. Of course, now they're not coming in higher than expected. And remember, this is lagging data. That's why they had to go back to Q1. Here we are in August to try to see what the real numbers are and what they're going to revise it down to. And this is going to be hitting the tape tomorrow around 10 a.m., as you can see right here. So if you see some movement in the market, that is what is causing it. And understand, if you look the last 4 or 5 years here, as I put in our Discord right here, you've seen some big revisions down. Okay, you go to 2019, 500,000. 2020, 173,000 for the first quarter. 2021, negative 166,000. 2022, look at this, 462,000 to the upside. And then 2023, 306,000 to the downside. So you could have a revision up. Wouldn't that be crazy? And so if the revision comes up, then you got to go, wait a minute, job market's not in trouble, then why would the Fed cut, right? And so you could have all this. It's just depends on how the market wants to take it, how it wants to spin it, okay? But be very cognizant of that at 10 a.m. tomorrow, okay? Now, looking at futures, you can see real quick, we'll start with NQ. This thing right here, I mean, again, barely down for the day. It was definitely volatile as far as a lot of V-shaped recoveries and liquidity grabs throughout the day. But when you look, what it did was fill this little gap right here, then sold back down. But again, we didn't even test this important level right here, okay, which is like 19,700, I believe is what that is. Now, we didn't even test that right there. And if it breaks that, well, of course, that's not good, really. I mean, like if you're a bull, you don't want that to happen. If you're a bear, you'd love for it to happen, right? Because then you get to come down, maybe grab some liquidity down below, which, of course, it's left a lot of liquidity behind. And I'm also going to add in this trend line here, because it's basically since last Tuesday, just been bouncing off of it the whole way up. I usually don't use trend lines on my future charts, but for you guys, I'm going to do that. But you can see it's just been bouncing, and we're sitting right on it now. Okay, so again, break of that trend line, break up the white line there. Yeah, that could put more downward pressure, but I think a lot of this is going to have to do with what comes out with this data and stuff. Okay, that's really going to be a big thing, because right now you're in this. You may hear people talking about buying at a discount and stuff. Right now, you're just in this no man's land where you're definitely not buying at a discount for sure. You're hitting these major like fib levels up here. And so, a lot of people are sitting in this wait and see mode, because a lot of people, including myself, and I'm sure including you, bought on the dip, right? And then all of a sudden you're up in your position, but it's like, man, buying NVIDIA in the 80s and 90s versus buying it, where it's at now, it's a whole different story, right? It's two different, that's not good risk reward right now. And so people are kind of sitting there going, okay, here we go, let's see what we got. And you can see this halt today made sense, right? I mean, here's where you sit there and it just kind of traded sideways, which is what we need. I said that yesterday, right? And you're sitting at this level before you go into this gap right here. If it decides to move up tomorrow, right? And you're sitting right above this trend line after this crazy, almost complete V-shaped recovery right now. And so it makes sense where it consolidated at. And then when you go over to the Qs, you can see the same thing, right? Just sitting there basically flat on the day, right? Filled the gap to the penny and then just sitting there waiting to see if it wants to break above this level right here. And so that makes sense right there. Again, for me, I like consolidation, all that stuff. I know people say you don't have to do it, whatever. I'm old school like that. But, and understand, like, when people talk about volume being lower on this move up, it's because you don't have any sellers. All you have is buyers. That's it, right? So you usually get high volume when you have a mix of both. Well, we don't have any sellers, as you can see, right? Even on a day like today. And so, again, the breadth, not bad. RSP, most people probably don't know this, but it's literally setting very close to all-time highs again. And why am I not surprised by that? Because again, I put this out every day when we talk about this. But when you go down and look at this morning news brief part here, we talk about breadth, center, and all that stuff. You can see the S&P 500 stocks above their 50 moving average and their 200 moving average, and you're setting at 72% and 73% as of basically yesterday's close, actually, right? Because this updates every day. And you can go in TradeView and look at this and actually chart it out if you want to, because you can see where they've been buying it every single time on that trend line. When the percentage of stocks above their 50-day moving average hits that trend line, they buy it up, and then they sell it when we've been hitting this resistance line right here around 75, 76 area so far. But you can see, have we gone higher? Absolutely, it's going past that. That's when you're really getting into frothy territory. But around 75, 76, which are almost there, that's the percentage of stocks above the 50 moving average before they've been selling us down recently. Okay, you go to 200. You got even more room to move up. Usually it's around 79. They've been selling us down recently over the last probably 6 months. Okay, can you get above it? Sure, you can. Absolutely. But, and we got way more room to move up on stocks above the 200 moving average than the 50, of course. But, this shows you breadth. It shows you what the market is looking at. Maybe you got room to move up. Absolutely. But the question is, how much more room do you got? Right. And so, now looking at some stocks here, looking at Tesla here, you can see we went up to 228 right out of the gates. Oh my goodness. And then sold off like crazy. Had a couple different events happen. One, the EU lowered their Chinese import duties, and so that lowers it from Tesla from 20 to 9%. So that's more money to the bottom line, right? But of course, then you go back and scroll up and you go, what the heck was the sell-off all about? And it's like, oh, okay, here we go. I got you. What happened was Trump came out, and of course he was talking about making Elon a cabinet member, offered him a cabinet position, which of course means it was spreading more thin. But that wasn't really the big thing. The big thing was he said that he would get rid of the tax credit. He hadn't made up his final mind, of course, but he thinks it's useless. And so, and again, that would be not good for EVs. And this is why I keep trying to tell people, like, the reason why Elon is really kind of cozying up, because these guys are total opposites, because he realized if he gets rid of that tax credit, or if he hates you, he'll do it out of spite. And so when you look at this right here, that's not a good thing. And so, we'll see if that's going to be the case. I know Elon definitely does not want that. But, if he wants to do it, he can do it. So it's just that easy. And so just kind of keep that in mind. So, of course, the stock didn't like that at all and said, well, see you later. Forget about the EU news, because that's way bigger news right there. Now, when you go over to IWM, totally different story. It did sell off today, more than 1% down. Again, we filled that gap to the penny yesterday. Okay, came back down. I add this trend line. We still are above the 2024 high, which is a big level. Still above that trend line right there. We'll see if we come down and get a third touch and hold the 2024 high again and get a bounce. We'll have to see. Now, some of you guys asked about these charts right here. Coin, for example, obviously, I don't know what is about that level, boy, but anytime it comes down in there, it tends to get bought up. But of course, let's be real about this. What is this linked to? I'm not going to say the name. It starts with a B, because I don't want to get botted to death from those folks. But you can see right here, I mean, if this moves up, the thing that starts with a B, then obviously coin goes right along with it. That's just the way it is. And so far it started trying to get a little up, sold off today. But again, if this moves, then guess where coin's going? Coin's going much, much higher. And if you want to get technical about it, I mean, you can pull up moving averages on coin, because it is a stock and everything. But you can see, I mean, is that not coincided completely together? But when you look at the 200 moving average, again, it's right above 200, testing the 200 right now. You still got the 50 and 100 right above it. Now, Dale, somebody asked me about, this one's following this trend line, found right below it on that capitulation moment we had there in the beginning of August. There's another trend line coming down where it keeps rejecting. Look on the daily, we're almost there to it, as you can see. So when you look at this right here, if you break out above that trend line, definitely I would be looking somewhere in the neighborhood to move to, let's put the volume profile and adjust it a little bit. You can see probably right around 132 right there would be big resistance. But again, if it hits that trend line and fails and breaks back down, you're going down to the ascending trend line. So that puts you right back around between $98 and $100 right there. Okay, if that happens. So just kind of keep that in mind. That should make sense to anybody. And again, they got earnings next week, the day after Nvidia. So that'll be interesting. HIMS we had talked about. This right here keeps holding this trend line. Again, got the 50 Fibonacci, been bouncing. But this one's really correlated too, because it's a high flyer, or and everything. So it can drop fast, it can rise fast, up about 16%. But when you look at it, it's the Qs. So we talked about this. As soon as the Qs turn, this one's probably going to turn, and it bounced to the penny. As soon as the Qs turned up, this one started to turn up as well. And so you see the Qs is up, I don't know, 7-8%, whatever it is, and HIMS went up about 16%. But again, it can come back down and retest. And if it breaks that trend line, see you later, going back down to the Fibonacci level around 0.618 probably. But if the Qs keep going, odds are this is going to keep going as well up there to that fair value gap right there. Let me get rid of the Qs, and I can tell you exactly where, if that is the case, anywhere between like 18, 1950, somewhere there, if we continue this rally. But again, the question is, how much more upside do we got? That's the big question. Again, a lot of this is going to depend on a lot of different stuff that has nothing to do with HIMS or the Qs or anything else. So now, you might have noticed Chinese stocks got absolutely obliterated today, all of them. Hot garbage. Okay, and I don't know what the heck happened to JD in after hours. I don't track this stock very much. I just talk about it because people keep asking me about it. But in after hours, this thing is down another 10%. So I didn't think they had earnings. So it's been something. But what it is, it's just like I told members this morning. It's the economy, right? They're trying all kinds of stuff, throwing it at the wall, trying to help the real estate industry out. It's not working. And then now they're trying to do more loans and more economic easing, and it's just not working. And so, again, all these companies, whether it's EVs, tech, whatever it was, just got punished. That's the way it is. I've had a pretty good run up the last few days, but it's just their economy, man. It's just a mess. Now, when you look at earnings, a lot of retailers, okay? Target, Macy's. I don't think TGX is a retailer. It could be. Then you'll have Snowflake, which has been on a good move, Zoom, and then you'll have Urban Outfitters. And then again, that 10 a.m. news, I told you, it doesn't appear on any of these economic calendars, but the big one's going to be 2 o'clock FOMC meeting minutes, guys. So let me know what you think is going to happen tomorrow. Appreciate you watching. Please hit that like, subscribe button on your way out. Feel free to sign up for the membership. You can like morning news briefs and 2 private videos and all that fun stuff. And I'll end up seeing you guys tomorrow.